So Andy, what's going on this Thursday?
Hey, nothing much, Scott. Good to hear from you. Jamie, how you doing, buddy?
Doing mighty fine, Andy.
All
Nice
right.
weekend.
It's kind of crazy pin action today in the market. We'll get into that, but just want to thank everybody for taking some time out of their day to be with us. We actually got some great stuff today. I hope we're going to have time to get it all in. Some good content, but so let's just dive right into the disclaimer here and get that out of the way. Guys, I just want everyone to know that this is for educational purposes only, okay? We are content providers. Nothing that you see or hear today should be construed as investment advice. If that's what you're seeking, you might want to go see an RIA or a registered investment advisor. But we got some cool stuff here. We got some incredible scans and alerts to help you profit in the marketplace, and that's what we're good at, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So let's move forward here and just kind of go over our agenda. And somehow my agenda got stuck somewhere else. There it is. We're going to go over the market recap, and like I said, there's some crazy action today in the market. We'll talk about that, and then we'll talk about the Holly recap. We're kind of going to veer off the Alpha Predator and show you an alert that Jamie's going to present to you. He got it from Dan just before we kind of went on there, and it's called the Alpha Trend, and where you can maybe able to, in that early action, catch these stocks that are going to be explosive. So Jamie will talk about that. And I'm going to show you, I'm going back to my pullback above 50 SMA, how to take that top list and create an alert window for symbols that are coming in your scan on the top list. Some pretty cool stuff. You're gonna like that as well, and I'm going to show you how that also can be. It's not just for swing trading or position trading. You can also use it for day trading. So when these patterns set up, there's sometimes some incredible action once they do trigger. So let me back up a little bit since I'm all out of whack here, and talk about our support and education here. I normally save this toward the end. I know what happened. I was gone last week on vacation, and Steve got in my room and messed up all my files here. So,
And
Jamie, did you have something to do with that?
oh no, huh?
Yeah. Okay. Our support and education here is second to none. We're really proud of not just giving you a software and letting you try to figure it out on your own, but taking you by the hand, helping you learn it, and helping you set it up, helping you create alerts, sharing some of our alerts that we've built over our 14 years of experience with the product. So I get asked that question a lot. What am I? You guys just gonna? Are you guys gonna help me? I said, well, of course we are. And you're gonna be just swamped with help. We have a live trading room. For you guys that don't know it, it operates about 7 hours a day. Barry fires it off 30 minutes before the bell rings. You can come in there and look at pre-market, look at all the stocks that are active in pre-market. He'll share some news with you, and then he actually trades during the day in real time as he navigates not only the market but his software, which you're getting to look at. Really cool stuff. Some really great traders in there. If you haven't been in there, I tell you what, you should get in there. We have almost 600 traders in there now, and it's a great place to be. And not only that, we don't stop there. We have 4 webinars a week, all in the 5 o'clock Eastern Daylight time slot, Monday through Thursday. Okay, we do take Friday off. I'm not going to go over everybody's name, but it's basically a combination of 3 of us, Jamie, Steve, and myself, and then we throw in Dan Merkin, the CEO, and Brad Williams on Wednesday for a nice Q&A demo. But other than that, I do want to say that because I think they took that slide out as well. We do have what's called one-on-one training. We charge $99 a pop for this, and I had a guy today actually told me he's going to sign up for 8 of them because that's how much he values these things. But if you sign up, today or any time that you sign up, you get that a free one-on-one hour of power of training with either myself, Jamie, or Steve. Professional traders who know the software very well, been using it, like I said, for 14 years. So it's an invaluable 1 hour, and you can always buy more if you like after that for extra coaching or training, whatever you want. So, and that is free if you either get the standard or the a premium package. This is our AI. We're going to go over Holly, our AI today. This is her performance for 2017. I'm not going to dive into this too much. We do show it every week, and the trend is pretty much staying intact. So this was probably updated last week, I believe. Yeah, around March 3/16. So once again, Holly continues to outperform the benchmark S&P. Went over that. And now it's time for me to back out of this, and we will go over our market recap here. I'm a little bit discombobulated because my slides are all screwed around. All right, guys, I've been talking about this trend line now ever since we put in our first couple of points here. And now you got a 1, 2, going back to the 1st of December here, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and lo and behold, I said this after that downdraft in Steve's webinar, I said, watch that trend line. If it doesn't hold that trend line, we could have a drop down to this 230 level. And look right there, trend lines are really tough to get through. I love working with trend lines, and you can see the spiders bounce right off that trend line. So a very well-defined trend line now. If we do break that in the coming days, you might, just be prepared. We always talk about the importance of being prepared. Chance favors the prepared mind, we say. So be prepared. If we do break this trend, we could have a precipitous fall here, potentially to this 230 range. I don't see a whole lot of support before that. So keep an eye out for that. Today, the action, it looks like we were digging in, moving nicely for the first few hours of the day. Then we got some bad news about the potential health care bill not going to be voted on possibly till Monday, and the market started to slide off. I'm a kind of guy, I'm a technical guy. I don't like to blame too much on what was said in the media, what happened. All I know is what the price action did, and it pretty much gave up the day it had. Some people may argue, well, if they come and pass this, when the market's going to rip, and it may, but there could be other factors involved. I mean, I still think we had some.
I tend to agree with you. As you were saying that, I was looking at that price action. I'm like, I really don't think the news has anything to do with it. I think it's what the market has been doing as of late is the primary factor here. But of course, people always like to try to attach reason to things when sometimes it's just that's what happened. No particular reason, function of the market. Anyway, didn't mean to interrupt.
No, trust me, I actually like it when people interrupt because I need a break every now and then. But no, and I'm the same way, Jamie, because if you start thinking what's the media doing and what's the president, what's the Congress doing, and then you may get your focus off what's important, and that is what is price action doing.
Right.
And the next thing you know, they pass a bill, and you load up because you think the market's going to rip up now, and it goes the opposite direction. So yeah, just price is the only thing that pays. But that all being said, watch this level right here. I'm not going to waste. I'll quickly go through. There's not a whole lot to go through with the IWM. It had a little bounce today. Qs much like. I did notice the Qs didn't get too far above yesterday's highs, though, which was kind of interesting. It didn't have as much oomph, I think, as the spiders. But Jamie, unless you have something to add, I think I'm going to probably just we'll dive right into the Holly.
Well, see, Andy, I know why the market sold off because I had bacon this morning with my eggs. And then I've noticed that when I have bacon, a lot of times the market goes down.
Is that right? Okay.
Oh
boy, we would be at one.
But it's the same thing, right? Footprints in the sand, price action trumps everything.
Okay. I'm seeing some questions in there. What is the definition of price action? Well, price is just it's pretty self-explanatory. It's just the price action is the action you see of where the price is moving in the charts, and whether the price is moving up or down. That's really the only thing that matters. Where your profits are going up or you're incurring more losses based on the price action. But in other words, you can have as much volume as, people argue a lot of times, oh, that was a huge move, but it wasn't on very much volume. Who cares? It was still a huge move. And if you're holding that stock, whether it was on a lot of volume, price is the only thing that pays. So it's the price action is what matters, okay? Not so much all the other technicals in there. How your 401k grows or how your trading account grows is based on price action, not volume or stochastics or MACDs, and I could go on. All right, Jamie, I think I'm going to turn it over to you, and let's take a look at Holly.
Sure, why not? All right, you should have eyes on my desktop now.
I do.
Ooh, the thing looks crowded, doesn't it? Okay, well, let me just kind of cover this stuff up. We'll look at the Holly windows right now. So, interesting day. And, of course, after Holly was done with her calculations last night and I saw this strategy window, I'm like, oh, goodness, that's the most strategies I've seen in there in a good long while. We had, I believe, 10 longs and 6 shorts for a total of 16 strategies in there. And boy, I can't tell you, Andy, the last time I saw that many short strategies make the cut. And of course, that's because things have changed a little bit in the market. And after Holly does her analysis every evening, then these things are looking more and more likely. Of course, today, many of these strategies did not fire, as you can see from the zero count here. And then we had a nice little disbursement of trades throughout the remaining strategies that fired. Not one guy really stole the day. Mainly 2s and 1s with the exception of float on, which just happened to be one of the strategies that we had a double signal today, which is pretty rare, but it does happen from time to time, and it was in this OXM today. So on the trade count, we had, 16 trades. 2 of them were short. The other 14 were longs. And before we get into looking at the details of these trades, I want to go back to the P&L graph that Holly produces every day of her intraday P&L. So, we could just kind of call this the ETF that is Holly, depending on how many positions she has open, makes up her little own private ETF. And more as we look at the opening action, of course, this window is real tiny, and hopefully we're going to be able to expand this thing and kind of be able to play with it and make it scale in future versions, because it can really give us some information. Whether we look at risk on today, which had a little red, which this is very typical. A lot of the times on a day where Holly produces on risk off or risk on, we'll see a little bit of red as she starts to pile into positions. As they start to catch, we'll start to see the upward momentum. Now on some days, it'll be a constant battle. We'll have red, then we'll get green, and we'll flip back over to red and green. And of course, those are the days where, one way or the other, whether it's short or long, isn't real conducive. And the statistical model is having trouble finding her footing for that day. So we can always learn something from that. That is a leading indicator in and of itself. If the stat model is having a hard time, that should be telling us humans, okay, trade very lightly, be very selective. If you're not finding your trades, keep that powder dry. Tomorrow's a new day. And that's the beautiful thing about the market, ladies and gents. It's here forever, right? Barring some weird thing like an alien invasion, the market is always going to be there. And it will be there long before you and I have left. So there's never a hurry to trade. I speak to a lot of new people. A lot of not only are they new to looking at the market, but they're chomping at the bit to get in there and start pushing the buttons, right? So word to the wise, if you're one of those people, there's no rush. Rushing is probably one of the more harmful things that you can do when you're trying to get yourself in tune with the markets and start interacting with it. So, patience definitely has its merits here. Now, what we can start deriving from these charts, let's flip back on to risk off real quick here. Risk off being Holly's most conservative mode. For those of you who might be hearing this for the first time, that's simply Holly sticking to a rule set. Profit targets, stop losses, timed holds, so forth and so on. Now, I really wish I could expand the chart here, but I think everybody, if you squint your eyes really hard, you can see after Holly started putting on a few positions, she just had this little sideways movement of green. She got up pretty quick. We had a little sideways movement. Well, we can start looking at this. I mean, I've been looking at this myself for a while now, viewing it from this format, but I would urge others to do the same. When we see this performance in real time from Holly's little basket of stocks, we're flatlining just like we see a stock do. And then whoosh, it breaks that plane, and in essence, Holly, the stock, the basket that is Holly, has just broken out and is off, breaking out of that little range there. And then just a nice ride up to about just shy of $1.25. And then just like a stock, hey, here's the pullback. And then for the remainder of the day, until we had the downturn, or for the remainder of this period here, if we drew a line like we do with our charts and our stocks, whether it was here or use the very bottom here, well, when this performance starts to slide off, now it's breaking down again from this little area of, what used to be support for Holly's intraday holdings. So that's important information is what I'm saying. So if you haven't been paying attention to this little graph and that capacity, start making it a point to do so, and I think it can be some really good information for you. Now, this is odd as well, but then again, we usually don't have the market having quite a range, quite the range that we had today, going all the way up here and then basically all the way back down. I mean, that's a nice little seesaw. Depending on what side you were on, it might have been a pleasant ride. It could have been a not so pleasant ride. But the bottom line is this: there was money all over the place. And if we were following Holly today, whether we're holding for the long term or preferably dipping our toes into a little bit of both pools, which makes the most sense from a human's perspective, interacting with a statistical model. And what exactly is Jamie talking about? Well, he's talking about doing a little bit of risk on and risk off for your Holly positions. So let's just dive right in. Let's take a look at the double entry that we had today. So we can see right here OXM. Make this chart just a little bit larger. We don't need to see so many days, but I'll leave the last part of the last session because relevant. So this is slightly about not quite 45 minutes into the market here, about 43 minutes in. Boom, we get the same second, down to the same second, the trigger on OXM from Sunrise Movers, which everybody that watches Holly is familiar with Sunrise Mover, and a couple of the other ones that do have the potential to start generating trades earlier as opposed to later. So we had Sunrise Movers and Float On issue OXM at the same time. Now, when I see this, and this is where Holly was saying, I'm going to have me some of this, what stands out is the prior close. Have a pretty close opening. The open of that candle was actually 52.91, and the close of that one 52.49. So a nice little gap up, and then we get a pullback. And then the stock puts in a little bottoming wick here, and then slowly, not only do we have a little gradient there, a nice smooth little uprise before Holly's signal, but we have these topping wicks. The sellers are trying to take it up. They keep kind of getting tamped back down, but it is moving up, and then Holly's like, now's the time. All right? Well, that gives me a great deal of confidence. Number one, I like this action. All right? It clearly tested it here. There are some buyers we can see from the action continuing to go up, and now, all of a sudden, we've got our statistical model flagging it from not one, but two separate algos, saying this thing looks pretty good. So OXM, float on, and sunrise movers. Float on's got 63% statistical weight behind it, and sunrise movers close to 63. So we get a double signal pushing 63% probability, and I have these nice, this nice little slope right here. So it doesn't make it real hard for me to push that buy button when I see things like this. Now, because I've always got something like this up as well, gee, I look down here and I see, only slightly less than 15 million shares in the float. Well, the first tip off was that it came from float on, but then again, how low a float is it? It's right there, 15 million shares. So not only do I have double signal from two high probability strategies, now I've got a low float or two, I've got a very low risk, whether I'm using, let's see, Holly's risk, 5303 entry here, 5261 right here. That's why stop losses are invented, so we know when to get out if we're wrong. And just a beautiful, nice little uptrend here, and plenty of time to take those cookies before the market tried to take them all back. Now, had we held this thing to the close, still be up 40 cents, which isn't bad, but a lot more alpha. Well, I can't say a whole lot, but a little bit was left on the table, which this little column right here, max profit, this is going to, if you haven't been watching this, it's interesting because it tells you what the maximum profit was that you could have hoped to get. Of course, we're not going to top tick. Every once in a while you're going to, but for the most part, that's just not statistically feasible. So max profit is showing us, and it's looking only at risk off mode, what the max profit was that you could have pulled out of it. So since we know we're not going to always get the max, we came pretty close to getting about half of that here. And of course, if we wanted to hold to the close, 40 cents. But let's get back to the point of dipping one foot into the risk off pool, dipping one foot into the risk on pool. So how many of our shares you're currently slinging around? Let's just use 200 for easy math here. So we're like, okay, this looks great. Low floater, double signal. I like this little area right here, which tells me there are buyers, but it's going up slowly. So I pop into 200 right here with Holly. Now, we can see why Holly got out of the trade right here. Profit save. So I sound like a broken record, but we had to put that in so that Holly wouldn't just be exposed to a timed hold, stop loss, and profit target and let a winner erode into a loser. So it's not the most advanced functionality, but then again, we are working with the stat model. The stat model's primary strength is the statistically weighted entry and the number crunching that goes on behind the scenes. We are a little bit better at reading technical charts. Holly sees charts, but not in the way that we do, right? So first and foremost, the entry is oh so important, and being able to exit at a profit, that's also oh so important. But it can be a little tricky. So a lot of people get into their heads they have to pick one or the other. Well, do both. When you see Holly getting out for her 21 cents on a profit save, go ahead and plug out of your first 100. It's real easy to take that other 100 and go, okay, I'm going to give it a stop loss back down to the entry, which would have been this line, in which case would have came close, but you would have still been in it for the remainder and been able to get a little bit more than what Holly's taking on risk off. So see, that makes the most sense to me. Of course, I try to simplify everything, and reminds me of when we were all taught basic math in elementary school. We had to find common denominators to simplify things before we moved on to the more complex calculations. Well, it's the same thing here. Let's make it as simple as possible. We're using groundbreaking technology to generate these things, which is anything but simple. But the way we handle the events, we can really simplify that. And the less things we have to get into our way in the middle of the trading day, from a mental perspective, the happier, the more zen we're going to be. All right, so that was the example of the double entry, which doesn't happen very often, but will happen on occasion. So when it does happen, pay some attention to it. Here's another great example on the AAL trade of deciding to go risk on. So here's Holly's entry, $40.56 right here. Not a bad entry. Not a bad entry at all, considering our stop loss down here. Never even comes close. Does a little dance right here. But then again, this is very common. A lot of the times they'll go immediately, but in this case, we get the signal here. Maybe it bounces into profitability here, and then we're kind of green, red, and then finally it catches, right? So Holly gets jittery, and we can see she only stayed in the trade. Entry time 7:10, exit time 7 minutes and 17 seconds, right? Or excuse me, 7:17. So less than 7 minutes. She's not the greatest at managing her exit, so she makes a whopping 9 cents. Well, we're in it with her. We're like, well, whether you decide to get out of half there, that's your call. But it would seem to me that we're going to stick to our stop loss and see if we can get some traction out of this thing. Now, whether you peeled out a half and kept the other half, it's still a good exercise because you're still going to make some money on this move. Now, once in this trade and we're in it and we're in the money, maybe we peeled out a half on this pullback and we're going to keep the other half, which would be great. Well, once we get up to this level here, then just experience takes over. What's happening when it gets up here? Buyer takes another little break, give it another push. What is happening right here? Well, we're breaking out of the range, which is one of the simpler patterns you could ever, or the most simple pattern you could ever hope to trade in the market. It just really doesn't get any simpler. The line is being broken. Here was the range before. If we drew a line from these wicks or just use the bodies, it's up to you. But a simple range break, we're already in the money with Holly. One of the hardest things to do is figure out, well, when do I add to my winners? Well, AAL, perfect example. Statistically weighted, delivered, gift wrapped, Holly entry down here. Once it comes up here and pushes through again, we've got a range break. Not that hard of a call to tack on another, double up. If you're in 200, tack on another 200. We already know it's a good trade. It's got statistical weight. It's working. Now it's doing this. I'm going to add to my position. All you have to do is be able to draw a line. Now, if we overlaid all these studies on this chart, moving averages, Ichimoku cloud, I just like saying that word, that phrase, or Bollinger Bands, you would notice correlations, but that's all they are. They're not necessary. Price is king, and we got nice price action here with some simple lines and some statistical weight, and that's all you need. That's all we needed here. We didn't need any fancy studies. We didn't need any 250-day moving averages. But once we're in a trade like this, we always get the question, well, your system looks to be just for day trading. Well, the swing trade is just how long you're going to hold, right? The second part of the equation, we can modify that. We want Holly to reset at the end of every day. That's why we keep everything intraday. But really, what's going to determine, let's say we're still in this because we looked, or we could play devil's advocate here. Maybe we're in this holding it overnight hoping. Maybe we haven't consulted the daily yet. But all we have to do is look at the daily, right? If you're thinking about holding some of this, well, you can see here it's peeled off. It's kind of bouncing around these lines that we've already drawn, which, are butting up against, future, past resistance, got popped out of. Now it looks like it's becoming support. We had one day kind of out of the range there and a snap back up. So I don't know. looks like we're just kind of in no man's land finding a new base camp here. So from a daily perspective, there wasn't a big compelling reason to hold this overnight. But sometimes the daily is going to look completely different. Over time, this might be a good one to keep an eye on because it might establish a little base around here and pop back out at some point. But nothing really stands out on that one. Andy, you got any takes on that one? Or
yeah, on this one.
Than I am.
Well, what I like about it is taking a look at that 5-minute chart and remember what the spiders did during the close. They came all the way, pretty much went all the way to lows, but look how it held up on the close. It tells you somebody, Melissa, made a comment, talking about more buyers and sellers. Where here you had a market pretty much tanking to lows, and you had that American Airlines here hanging up in the upper 20%, from highs. People still buying, even though the market was selling off. That's what you call relative strength. As a matter of fact, I'm going to show you some charts today from my that showed some really good relative strength. And so yeah, when I see things like that, I'm thinking, okay, there's some buyers in this thing. Maybe it is bottoming out on that daily pattern, and there's some still run for this thing. So yeah, when it comes to swing trading and you see relative strength like that, that can be very powerful.
Right, and there's just so many things out there to confuse people, swing trading, day trading, it's all trading, right? And then, hey, you're in the money at the close, and you sure would hate to get out for 50 cents because you've done that before, and then the stock ripped $1, and you just don't know how to prevent that. Well, we have a simple solution, a cure per se. It's called look to the left and identify areas of support and resistance by drawing, you guessed it, some horizontal lines.
Mm-hmm.
So, boil everything down.
I think a good takeaway from the day as well, and we talked about this as Jamie and I were prepping for this webinar, is that Holly was doing great. It was a risk-on day, and she was up over $3 on risk-on. Everything was working just, if you want to put the spiders up, and everything was working fine. She was up over $3 on the risk-on, and then you had the fall out of bed there. This is why, guys, this is why you have to take control, and you can't just automate everything. It's hard to automate. It's hard to just put everything, into automation, because this is when you have to put your trader's cap on and say, if you have nice profits and all of a sudden you see volume to the red side and it breaking down below that 235, this is where you have to take control. And when you see it happening on volume, obviously something's going on there, some news, because there's a nice trend, and all of a sudden you have the biggest red bar of the day on volume. And take your profits and move on, especially if you're day trading. Maybe look to getting short. I don't know, but to get back to everything was looking good on Holly and that risk on until the market fell out of bed. Of course, she continues to tally until the end of the day, and that's the way we have her programmed.
It's making me have a Warhol moment. It's like, does the news drive the market, or does the market drive news?
Yeah, there you go. Exactly.
All right, so let's get on to this little juicy nugget right here. Alpha trends, okay? And the reason is because, although we had some really nice plays from Holly today, a lot of people in the trading room this morning were trading this guy, HTGM, right? Now, it wasn't a Holly play, but we've got a lot of lots of conversation about this stock today because, well, if we look at it from here at the $3 level, well, it topped out right here, $4.90. That's quite a move, right? Quite the move from $3 up to, and look, after market.
I know, after hours.
So something's going on with HTGM. Now, for people who have alpha trends, and by the way, before we get into this, what we're actually showing you is kind of some of the pre-data that we use to feed the AI model known as Holly, because we feed her information and then she processes it and goes, okay, based on the information you guys have fed me, this is what should be paid attention to the next day, right? Because these strategies that you're seeing in the panel, they are in essence strategies, alert windows that everybody has access to, except these are programmed by Holly, back tested and and tweaked by Holly. But to give her the raw dough to work with, some of you already know this. Those of you who are not familiar with what's going on behind the scenes here, Holly's got a base of, it fluctuates right now somewhere between, could be 40, 50, 55 strategies. It fluctuates based on market conditions. And these are huge, before Sunrise Mover showed up today in this manifestation, the base of Sunrise Mover might produce 50,000 trades over a 40-day period. But by the time Holly gets done with it and delivers it to us, if it makes the cut, it's a manageable trade count with exceptional probability. But we're feeding her filter sets like this because as these events occur, they go into her database, then she starts folding them into her calculations moving forward. But just kind of a peek under the hood here. But this is also available as a free-floating window, and yes, I will drop it in the chat window so that all of you can copy the cloud link, start watching this thing moving forward. So what you want to kind of do is, this is obviously a top list, so it's going to be updating every 30 seconds. Now, I'm showing you what the list looked like right on the open today. And what you should do with this list is build a list from it when it starts reporting. So as these symbols were showing up in the first 5 minutes, what I do is right-click and just pump them into a list. Right-click, send here to my symbol list, and I pop it right into my Holly list or make an Alpha Trends list. So, every refresh, if I see a symbol I haven't put in there yet, I'll put it into another window. I've got other alert windows for all kinds of stuff so that when these stocks start doing things, I'm told about it. And of course, a lot more stocks showed up than what you see here, but this is what was being told to you. Hey, pay attention to these stocks because these are the ones that could move big today. And of course, HTGM, we're told about it after this little move right here on the open, this 5-minute move here. And then, if we're watching it, back it up a little bit, we can see prior close. Well, obviously there's something going on. Is it news? Is it a development? Did they make a scientific breakthrough? Who knows, right? But we have a nice little gap up, immediate sell-off, and then whoosh, they stop it. So when you see these little micro consolidations, these are also known as NR7 patterns. Basically all it is, don't make too much sense of it. What does it really mean? Well, during this little period here, buyers and sellers were equal. That's why it went sideways. But we know there's something going on because it just popped out of here, gap up, and there's something going on. Now it's brought to our attention in the first 5 minutes, and we're thinking to ourselves, well, none of this has transpired yet. We're just looking here, and we're like, well, I'm not going to touch it right now because, well, I don't really trade the first 5, 10, 15 minutes. I'll let all the, the opening flurry get done. But then once I start to see this pattern develop, I'm like, okay, now it's looking like something that I might have an interest in. First and foremost, these wicks right here provide me with an out in case I'm wrong, right? Which, we're talking about a $3 stock here. So if this is 3 and this is the $2.83 level, we're going to be risking about 17 cents. So, but this tells the story. Okay, I know something's going on with the stock. It gapped up. Now it's showing up on my Alpha Trends list. Whether I decide to go ahead and get long in here and just use these wicks, or whether I waited for a little break out of that base, it doesn't really matter. But had you taken a small risk right here in this little micro consolidation area and put a long on, well, then all you had to do is decide when to get out. And so, once again, we talked about the trading room. Why you should go there? Well, here we have it. Now, the significance here is just the phenomenal percentage gain. I mean, what else did this today? Maybe there were some other ones. I'm not really aware of stocks that moved this much today, especially in a market that was pretty much, kind of coming down, and this one got a little weak at the close, but obviously whatever's cooking is not keeping it
Still
down.
cooking.
I mean, it's still boiling. Who knows how it's... Okay, so good. Another good exercise, Andy. Okay,
Yep.
well, how far out of the box is it, let's say? Well, looks like it's kind of notorious for this type of action, right? Did it back here, did it back here. So, you know, when we're dealing with this guy, I mean, since it would only have to, I mean, if we're playing by the rules, Andy, you'd have to use those wicks if it does that a lot, wouldn't you think?
Yeah, it
Okay.
does.
So even if we use the top of this guy right here, well, and where did we close? Where we're trading higher right now. So it looks like it's out of the box. So, you know, just using this next little guy right here, you know, if that post-market activity continues and they gap it up, who knows? I mean, we might be heading to 545 or even up to here if that momentum continues.
Mm-hmm.
You know, all you have to do to figure that out, ladies and gentlemen, is identify the clusters, right? I had a newer person asking me the other day, well, theoretically, couldn't any day bar act as resistance? And I'm like, well, yeah, it could. It depends on how clustered up they are, though, right? So, you know, when we're drawing these lines, it's not like we have to get our abacus out or our protractor and make all these calculations. It's really just you get used to seeing them. Sometimes you got to go in there and tweak them a little bit more with the trend lines and everything to get a better picture. But you can get a lot of, you know, basically you're constructing your own pivot lines for each and every stock, and it's a relatively simple process.
All right, good stuff, Jamie.
Yeah, so I will drop this in. I don't want to be a time hog here because, well, we got 2:46.
Yeah,
and
I'm gonna have to hurry here, but that's all right. Well, if we go a little bit over, that's okay. It's good stuff. So we'll.
Won't get in trouble, Andy. I guarantee it.
No.
All right, so I'm going to drop this into the chute for everybody. And you ready for me to pass the baton back to you, Andy?
I sure am.
All right, here it comes.
Uh-oh, looks like it tried to pop up there, but...
All right, okay, sorry. There we go.
Yeah, there it goes. Perfect. All right, thank you, Jamie. All right, guys. What I was doing last couple of days, I've been going back to my pullback above the 50 SMA, and this is the type of market when you get a pullback in the overall market, you're still in a very nice uptrend, bullish market, where I really want to start to focus on this for potential swing trades. And not only that, for those who just want to day trade, you can find some. I'm going to show you there's some great moves in here on the day trading time frame as well. So I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, first of all, I want to go back to yesterday's close. So I'm going to use my historical date here. Show you the stuff I was looking at yesterday evening while I was putting this together. Put it on 2:55 on Central Time, and just go back to yesterday and hit OK. And while that is coming up, what I wanted to do, and it will help you guys who do not have the premium version, which there's so many great tools in the premium version. I think everybody should have it. But if a standard works for a lot of people, and if you do not have price alerts, this is a way to basically take the information from a top list and put the symbols over into a new alert window so you can be alerted when it does what I want to see, which is a bar reversal. Unfortunately, I've gone over this several times. For you people who are new in here, I'm looking for a setup bar in this scan, and you'll see it when I show you some of the charts. I don't have time to go into the configuration of this, but what I wanted to do is copy all my symbols and then drop them into a new alert list. So to save some time here, I did this earlier, so I'm just going to pull the alert window that I created. And it was a very, very simple, because all I want to do, my setup is already in my symbols. Okay? So what I did is simple configuration here. Basically, all I wanted to see is stocks. I used a new high filtered versus a new high I'm going to show you a better way once I get through doing this, just by using the not repeat for every 15 minutes. But I wanted to be able to see, as I'm showing you guys, find my symbols easier. And by using a new high filter, it's easier to do that. So anyway, a simple alert of a new high. And my only window-specific filter I have is here is position in previous day's range. Every range, once again, has a range from 0 being the low of that range, 100% being the high of that range. Okay? So if it's positioned in previous day's range, I do not want to see it. I don't care if the stock's hitting a new high unless it's at least 99% off. In other words, it has to be within 1% of going through yesterday's highs. So very, very simple alert. Okay? Now, what I did, I created a symbol list. Very easy to do. All you basically have to do, I called it pullback above 50 SMA. That's my symbol list since I'm using it off my top list here. So all I did was I took these from yesterday. I took all these. I simply copied them, Control C, and I put them in my symbol list that I created right here. So they're all there. So we had 67 stocks that finished in my pullback above 50 in that sweet range that I like. So we're going to go through here, guys, and just take a look at some of the ones that came through here this morning, and just kind of want to show you. And when you're using this, I like to wait about 15 or 20 minutes because you can get a lot of head fakes on the very first tick. I'll see if I can find a few in here. Something like this. You just get a lot of nasty action off the very first, very first 15, 20 minutes, even 30 minutes. So I like to, give it a little time here to work out. I just want to show you some of the trades. Now, because I don't have to no longer look at this, this is going on to the next day and creating me alerts for the following day. So I'm looking at this stuff and I'm just watching this ticker and things are coming through. And leg Mason here. I'm going to go through a few of them here and you'll see what I'm looking for in the 5-minute chart. Look at that move in leg Mason. Once again, it's a beautiful swing trading setup. A stock that was recently hitting a multi-month high, nice pullback, put in a nice setup candle yesterday and took out that high. Look at the pin action it had off the highs. Okay, another one, just going right up the list here. I mean, I'm not going to pull up all of these because some of them just didn't do a whole lot. None of them really cratered, but they just didn't do a whole lot. ADS, this was another great one. 85.54, ran all the way up to 86. I added the sector column in here too because what you can find a lot of times, I found a lot of finance and insurance companies coming through here today, which tells me the finance had pulled back, the finance sector has pulled back, was sitting in that sweet spot and ready for a potential reversal. And sure enough, I got a lot of these through these. So instead of me just going through here, guys, and trying to find, the unfortunate thing about history is if you run history, even if you have don't repeat on, you still get, you can't run don't repeat in history. You still get every stock that comes through in history. But you guys can check this out for yourself. But I want to pull back up the slides here just to kind of give you an idea, of some of the plays that were coming through here, even on a day trading time frame. For those of y'all, I mean, I built this for swing trading, but here this was leg Mason that went off right here, close to highs. I think it went off at 34.80. ADSK. I just want you to. I know we had a pretty decent move in the market, but none like you got in some of these stocks I'm showing you. Where ADSK ran over $1 for you after you got in. EV went off right there. There's another 60 cents move right there. But I can tell you this: a lot of algos follow this same pattern. And the way I'm setting my alert up, I'm catching it actually before it takes out that high of the previous day. So I'm actually seeing it pretty quick. Then you got a lot of momentum that follows and causes these nice runs in the stock. AFL, look at this move. Poked its head up, had a little bit of a pullback, but credible move there. AF, another one, just a beautiful setup. Remember, on the daily, these things, and I'll go back and show you the daily, have been pulling back on the 5-day time frame, and now they're doing a bar reversal. Okay, and you're getting some really nice, incredible moves. Look at that one right there. And here was Dow, which was just an incredible move all day. Even when the market pulled back, this one kept just powering higher. So maybe one to watch for some follow through is this Dow. So anyway, I know I come back to this this a lot because I want you guys to really, this is a very simple alert because you know where your stop is. Okay, you have your setup. Here is AF. Recently on a multi-month high, pulling back, nice little setup bar, and then once it takes out that setup bar high, you get a nice move. But you really need to pay attention to this on when you have a big pullback in the market, especially like the spiders have pulled back nicely, bouncing off their trend line, put in kind of an inside, almost like a spinning top yesterday. That's when the setup is prime in my, and that's when I'm really focusing on this because you can get some really good moves. Because even though the market, we can go through a lot of these, and you compare this to what the spiders did today, and you're going to see a lot better trades on this type of setup, like look at this Dow, where you could still be in the stock and potentially, going toward another breakout. And like Jamie was saying earlier, yeah, for those, there's so many traders that want to come in and play the 15, get 15 or 20 cents, scalp, go move on to the next trade. Next thing you know, you're churning. The really good traders, guys, are the ones that go for bigger moves. And I'm not saying you have to hold on it for 2 or 3 weeks. Even if you want a day trade, you really should learn to try to hold stocks for 2 or 3 hours versus 2 or 3 minutes. That's the game. I think it's going to, make or break a day trader. So that being said, I hope you guys will take that to heart. There's really nothing to share here. I will drop this one in because this is the one where let me put it back on real time so you're not getting live during market hours. You always want to keep it on live during market hours. These are the only 3 stocks that showed up here today. But let's take a look at the setups on these 3. Look at that. Just nice little pullback, potential setup bar, takes out that high. ATH, that's sweet. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bars without a bar reversal. You get one and a bar reversal tomorrow. That can be very, very explosive. So only 3 charts you can look at tomorrow, and what you can do, I'm going to drop this one in. This one is very easy to create. Remember, all you got to do is copy these, drop them in a watch list, a symbol list, and then just be sure when you configure, just go and set the symbol list. Go here to where it's only following pullback above 50. Simple as that. So I know we always have new people every week in here, so I am going to drop this pullback above 50 SMA in there. In same place that Jamie dropped his. And while I'm doing that, Jamie, do you have anything you might want to add to this?
No, it's just some quality work, quality setups. Looking good.
Yeah, they're really good setups, and I think they can work on all time frames. Whether you're a day trader or you're looking for some nice juicy swing trades, they can because your entry. It has to take out the prior day's high, and your stop would be the setup bar is low. So it's I continue to pump that one because I think there's some great setups in that for some plays. So with that said, Jamie, if you don't have anything else to add, I'm going to bring Scott in here. He's going to tell you guys about how you can get a discount and sign up to Trade Ideas this evening.
Sounds like a plan.
Yeah. So Scott, if you want to come in here, I will get this presentation back on.
Sure, sounds good. Thank you for the prezo. The crowd was very happy. Yeah, so, well, we can leave it at that slide for now. We do have a new version of Trade Ideas in the beta. You can go to trade-ideas.com/beta, and that'll take you right to the portion of the page to download a version that has Brokerage Plus, and that's available for interactive brokerage clients to automate their trading through trade ideas. So do check that out. There's also a back issue of a webinar in our I don't have the link handy in this webinar, but you can email info@trade-ideas.com if you're interested in seeing how it works, and we'll point you in the right direction. It's in our webinars playlist in YouTube, and it kind of goes into some more detail about it. But if you're an interactive brokerage client, you're going to want to check this out. So do go to trade-ideas.com/beta, get that, download, and just email us if you have any questions about it. It's pretty neat. It's a great it's a sign of what's to come, really. We also have a podcast now every Friday, and we are urging everyone to go ahead and sign up for it. You can go to your favorite podcast application and search for Trade Ideas Podcast within it, and then subscribe. We'll have a new episode up tomorrow morning. Usually they're up in the afternoon on Fridays for you to listen to over the weekend. The newest episode is going to be Steve Gomez and Dan Merkin. It's already recorded, and I'm just going to produce it and alert everyone to it coming out tomorrow, so you can find it tomorrow morning in your iPhone, on your Android phone, on your iPad or tablet, whatever you use to listen to podcasts on. It's really great, and it's growing. It's growing the audience, and people are giving great feedback about it. As promised earlier in the session, there is also a discount code for you, and you can use that code to save 15% off your first month or year of Trade Ideas, either premium or standard. And then that code needs to be used all caps, just like you see it, Guide to Alpha. You can also download a PDF in your handouts panel. There's a little handouts section on your GoToWebinar interface. Click on the little arrow or plus sign to expand it, and download that. That'll have these slides that can point you in the right direction to save money or get the beta version. So use Guide to Alpha. Both the standard and premium versions come with a full hour of one-on-one training with one of our guys like Andy or Steve or Jamie, and it's a great way to get started. So after you become a subscriber, either a premium or standard, play with the program a little bit, check out the videos, go to the trading room, and then schedule your appointment for your one-on-one training. It's the best way to get all your questions answered in a short period of time. Great head start. Thanks everyone for joining us. When you have a question, email us info@trade-ideas.com. That's the best place. It's the catch-all for our support, and then gets routed through our support software to the best team member to answer your question in the timeliest manner possible. Phone number is great if you have a subscription or billing question during normal market hours. You just go ahead and give that a call and talk to the nice young lady there about your billing question. But for technical support, info@trade-ideas.com is the best place to send that. You can follow Jamie at QuantBot on Twitter. Our Steve Gomez is at Today Trader, and Dan Merkin is at Trade Ideas 1. When you like us on Facebook, facebook.com/TradeIdeasPro, you can share some of our posts with your friends. And we also post some additional content there we don't post elsewhere. So as long as you're on the Facebook, you should go ahead and find our page and like us there, follow us, and share the Trade Ideas love. We have enough to go around. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Jamie and Andy. I'll get the recording up tonight, and there'll be an email reminder going out tomorrow with the playlist location. Thanks, guys.
All right. Yeah, thank you, Scott. Thanks, everybody.
Good stuff, Andy. Good stuff. We'll see you in the train.
Yeah, thanks, y'all.
All right, man.